Just to give you guys a little bit of context about the work I did this summer, I was a temporary landscape employee for the hospital. The hospital had a specific grounds crew, and most of the people that worked in this grounds crew were permanent employees that get paid on wage still. And a big point of emphasis, especially for the landscaping crew, was to maintain the integrity of this new beautiful hospital. The hospital was created in 2007, it's really modern, it's really beautiful campus. But the main problem that I saw as an outside employee, as a temporary employee coming into this situation, was the presence of cigarette butts. The hospital is a non-smoking campus, yet there are cigarette butts intermittently dispersed all throughout the hospital grounds, and it's a big problem in my opinion. Every morning we spent 2 to 3 hours just picking up trash, and most of the trash ended up consisting of cigarette butts. And we had these things called picker-uppers, which are just like little hands that help extend your reach. And every day, for 3 hours a day, I would spend flipping single cigarette butts, butt by butt, into this bucket. And let me tell you, it's not the most fun work. But again, my job, my responsibility as a landscaper there was to keep the integrity of the aesthetics of the hospital and keep it in good shape. And so what I'm asking of you guys as hospital administrators is to help us take care of our butts. So right now I want to spend some time getting to know our butts and getting to know the dangers of these butts. And I'm going to do that by asking a question first. How long do you think it takes a cigarette butt to fully biodegrade in the natural environment? Anyone? Yeah.
About 3 weeks.
Anyone else got a better guess?
2 years.
Okay, yeah, that's the minimum estimate that I got was 2 years, the high end is 10. And the natural cellulose fibers, which are often found in cotton, which is in the fibers of the filter, is what actually takes so long to decompose. And unfortunately, that's also the part of the cigarette butt that's most dangerous because it traps all the tars, all the carcinogens from burned cigarettes. Cigarette butts alone, without unsmoked cigarette butts that is, contain 50 known carcinogens, and a cigarette butt that's been smoked has over 500. And cigarette butts are one of the most common littered items out of anything. There was a study by keepamericabbeautiful.org, you can check it out. And their main point was to figure out why people are so inclined to litter their cigarette butts and throw them all around. And some of their findings were that the hospital grounds were actually the most common places where people litter cigarettes, whether it be because they're really nervous or they're coming in and out of buildings, who knows. But so this is obviously a huge problem for us as hospital administrations. In 2009, I know we made the change to go to a smoke-free campus, whereas before we had trash or ash receptacles and designated smoking areas for smokers. And my boss that I talked to said that once we made the switch in 2009, 2010, that he did see a drastic reduction in the number of cigarette butts and the number of smokers that were outside. However, when we eliminated these areas, there became a problem of people throwing their cigarette butts in areas like near the fountain outside and other places that we try to keep clean but are very common areas. Those just became littered with multiple cigarette butts. And a question I want for all of you to think about as hospital administrators is how much money did you waste on me personally as a 3-month temporary employee spending on just picking up cigarette butts? And I actually have the answer for you right here. Approximately, I spent 2 to 3 hours a day picking up cigarette butts for 5 days a week, and I was making a wage of $11 an hour. And over the course of the whole summer, that means that you personally allotted to me $2,000 worth of time just picking up cigarette butts. And to me, this is a gross inefficiency. In terms of the whole landscaping crew, the low monthly estimate I got was $2,500 spent on just cleaning up cigarette butts, and the high-end estimate is almost $5,000, which leads us to yearly contributions of $30,000 to $50,000 just spent on picking up cigarette butts. And if you think about that, that's pretty awful. The main dilemma comes from our hospital's policy, where we do not want to condone people smoking, and therefore we cannot have trash receptacles or ash receptacles out for people that are smoking, because that would be, okay, here's a place for you to go, here's a place for you to go and smoke. But for me, I'm going to make an analogy to another piece of trash, or to trash, which kind of discredits that point. We have trash cans, not because we're going to go to that place and produce trash. The presence of trash cans has nothing to do with how much trash we produce. It has to do with how we dispose of it, how we take care of our trash. And hopefully we do it in a responsible way. It's the same thing for cigarette butts. The presence of ashtrays does not condone or in any way promote people smoking. It only promotes the proper disposal of these items. If some of you are still not in alliance with this form of thinking, then think of this. We could use the ashtrays that we put out as a place to promote anti-smoking campaigns. The hospital has a lot of counselors and programs, plans that you can take as employees or as patients to reduce smoking habits. So instead of looking at an ashtray as a place for smokers to go and promote their smoking, we can look at it in a completely opposite light as an opportunity to take these people's habits and try to change it for the better. The Keep America Beauty research found that for every one trash or ash receptacle that there is, it will reduce people's littering of cigarette butts by 9% from 65%. Now, a hospital, there's obviously really big grounds, so you can't just say one cigarette disposal method is going to solve all the problems. But the average length away for when people start to improperly dispose cigarette butts is only 31 feet. And there are trash cans within 31 feet of every entrance in the hospital building. So let me ask you this, would it really be that difficult to put ashtrays out? And that's all I have for you guys. Any questions from the audience? Yes.
So you suggest that you push ashtrays out of your hospital. Do you think that might promote more smoking than there already is? The fact that they'll see ashtrays might cause them to smoke?
No, that's my main point. Most people are spending their time inside of the hospital anyway, and they're coming outside with the pure intention to smoke. I want to take their smoking habits and get it away from the common areas, because there are a lot of complaints from patients who are just walking by, oh man, look at all these gross cigarette butts, it smells like cigarettes. And ashtrays are not only a way to kind of isolate, not necessarily isolate smokers, but concentrate their usage and keep the cigarette butts, which they smell bad and they get scattered everywhere because they're so light. They get picked up by the wind, they get pushed into cracks. It's really poisonous for the top ground soil, which is already a problem on the hospital grounds that you guys don't know about. But yeah, I don't think in any way having ashtrays will promote smoking. And especially if we put anti-smoking campaigns on them, and the people that are using the ashtrays the most, the people with the problems are going to see this, and who knows, maybe get help. Yeah.
Have you considered putting up like signs or fines if caught littering cigarette butts or something like that?
Right, so one of the main problems on the hospital grounds is the enforcement. There is a small security force within the hospital, and if they see someone smoking a cigarette, they're supposed to go up and tell them to go get off hospital grounds or go to the closest street. The problem is, at least when I was working there in the summer, it's a long walk that smokers are not going to be willing to take to go get off hospital grounds, and they're like, look, I have 30 seconds left, just give me a break.
Right.
This is my cigarette. So one more time, could you restate it?
Just putting up signs for possible fines
Right.
that are caught.
Yeah. There's a bunch of no smoking signs all throughout the hospital, but it's really ironic to me because I was working there this summer and I'd see people literally smoking with their back to a no smoking sign right there. Anyone else have any questions?
Okay, good Good job, good job. Okay. Couple of comments. Great topic, you clearly do it. You were very confident